Welcome to the Neurodivergent Experience podcast, a podcast where we share the lived experiences of neurodivergent people to help create a better understanding for our community.
Join us every week as we bring you honest, raw, and inspiring conversations with specialists, advocates, and individuals who know exactly what it's like to live the neurodivergent experience.
I'm Sylvia James, a neurodivergent specialist, father of neurodivergent children, husband to a neurodivergent wife, and author of The Autistic Experience, and I'm joined by my best friend.
I'm Simon Scott. I'm an autistic ADHD broadcaster, actor, and advocate. Join us as we journey into unraveling the neurodivergent experience.
Hello, and welcome back to the Neurodivergent Experience. Scotty, how you doing?
Hello, I'm warm. I'm very, very warm.
Oh my God, we're so warm.
It's a heat wave in the UK. By the time this episode comes out, it may have passed, but by looking at the weather, probably not. I am a icky, sweaty boy.
My balls are stuck to my legs.
Yes, and he's playing basketball as well, which is the... Anyway, yes, that as well. That's the problem with wearing baggy shorts. But it is absolutely scorching here in the UK. So I'm cooking. I'm hoping to order a fan at some point, and that's literally the bane of my existence. Sensory issues and warm don't go well.
No, I'm just sticky. I'm sticky, and then Sylvia just keeps telling me how much I smell just constantly. It's just constant. And I had to be really firm but loving at the same time last night, because she was like, how long have you been wearing that shirt? I'm like, literally 5 minutes. She goes, yeah, but it really smells. And I'm like, babe, I can't help my body smelling. I said, I'm washing, I'm cleaning, I'm putting deodorant on, I'm changing my top like 4 times a day. Yeah. This is the one time of the year where I'm really, really glad that I have so many basketball jerseys, because I have a constant rotation throughout the day. I put on one and I sweat through it because I'm just a naturally sweaty person, but also because I go to the gym as well and we go for walks. Yeah, and then Sylvia's like, but you smell. And I'm like, babe, I love you.
Meow.
But I get it. I get that I smell, but I can't change that. So it's like, I appreciate your sensory issues, but now you're just making me feel like just a piece of crap. Like, you just please stop telling me I smell, because it activates the trauma of when I was a kid and people used to call me stinky and smelly. And at Cubs, I was given a badge and singled out and called the grubby cubby.
Oh,
they singled me out as an individual child and went, this is the smelliest, most disgusting child we have, and gave me a badge for it. Thanks, Cubs in the 90s, you bunch of arseholes.
I'll give you a badge now.
Yeah, you give me a badge now.
So I literally just walked up the stairs to...
Vinegar Man. Yeah, that's what I am.
Me.
Grubby Cubby to Vinegar Man. That is the progression. Vinegar Man is
not so bad.
It's lovely. It's not quite the Bruce Wayne story arc into Batman, but somebody right.
Yeah.
You can pickle some gherkins.
Stick some cucumbers under my armpits and soon we'll have some pickles.
Yum.
Oh, gross. But yeah, as you can hear, Sylvia is here. And there's a reason for that. And what is that reason, Scotty? What are we doing today?
What are we doing today? Well, we like to come up with lots of different ideas of shows. You'll notice the Hot Topics now its own individual show. We've got a couple of things in the pipeline. And, collectively, we kind of agreed that so many of our listeners are parents and have a lot of questions, have a lot of, misunderstandings about their own kids or wanting to better understand them. And we share our experiences. But one of the things that we could talk more about, I think, is the experience of being neurodivergent parents. So we're going to try and pilot a bit of an idea today with maybe the intention of this being a regular episode in our repertoire of...
In addition.
Yes, extra, plus. Whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, more content for you wonderful listeners.
Yes, you asked.
We're working hard to make you happy.
Yes, exactly. So what we've done, essentially, is Jordan's put a post out on his Facebook group, which is Jordan James, the Autistic Photographer, saying, ask us questions about being parents and with our kids. So that's what we're going to do today. So that's why Sylvia has joined us, so that you can hear it straight from the source and not just from Jordan and I, because I don't have kids. Still am one, technically, even though I'm 30 years old. So I've got a nice little list of questions in here. Shall we just get straight into it?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to quickly say
sure.
the reason why we thought this was a good idea is because obviously we both neurodivergent parents. We both late diagnosed, late discovered. I'm obviously a neurodivergent specialist, but Sylvia is a specialist in our kids. And being around me, she obviously picks up a lot of stuff. But it's just nice to be able to answer some questions, like some genuine, please help us questions from people out there, and probably people listening will be asking questions. So feel free to ask more questions for possible future episodes. And we will give, it's not our expert opinion. There's no such thing as an expert, in my opinion. There is just people who specialize in things. And all the answers we're giving they're not for everyone. They're just how it worked for us. So I don't want anyone to have expectations of, if we listen to this, we're going to be able to do a better job. It's possible you'll be able to do a better job as a parent, but also we've got it wrong so many times. So we're only being able to speak from experience. But what we can say is that we have two later diagnosed autistic children who were autistic infants, autistic babies, autistic toddlers, autistic teens, autistic adults now. So we've had all these stages of dealing with and supporting our autistic children from birth all the way through to adulthood. And that sort of experience, alongside our knowledge of neurodivergence, that's why we feel like we're in a really good position to be able to help guide others.
Yeah, and I think that's brilliant, because shared experience is so key to learning, isn't it? It's not just about what you can pick up in a manual or going, well, I perfected it first try, because nobody did. You know, we all make mistakes, and my parents as well have learned a lot through raising an autistic child through the very different stages of development. It's not like I became autistic when I got diagnosed at 28. So really interested to hear both of your sort of experiences, and I may chime in as well with a bit of thought coming from the perspective of having been raised as a neurodivergent kid where I didn't know that I was. So here's one of the first questions that we've got here, and I think this is a great one, because this is something that my parents tried with me as well, and it was very much trial and error. So how did you help your children socialize and make friends? Any tips or strategies to support relationship building with their peers?
That's a good question to start, because it is a minefield to navigate socializing and being neurodivergent, but it is a double minefield to do that when you don't even know you're neurodivergent. And we didn't know we were neurodivergent either. So from my perspective, I guess I had a lot of fears because of the experiences that I had at school, because I was so badly bullied, even to the point where I refused to go to school. I even refused to come out of my bedroom, like, unless it was to go to the toilet or eat. Then I'd go straight back to my bedroom. I was so badly traumatized. And then I had to change schools, and essentially then became a very misbehaving, aggressive child, because I went on the defensive and I was like just constantly scared. And I didn't want that for my kids. So I had a huge fear of school and of them making friends and socializing through the school system, because that's what happened to me. So I was projecting a lot of my fears onto my kids. So I would give them a lot of leeway. I would let them try and figure it out themselves. But at the same time, I was kind of just ready to pounce and just get in there and be like, oh, I'm going to protect my kid. So a lot of the times that I was giving my kids advice was, if particular, whether you like it or not, this is the advice I gave, particular people within society generally bring up their kids with their own ideas and morality, I guess. And I would say, look, if somebody is like that, and you can see from the parents if they're like that, generally try and stay away from the kids.
Yeah.
And that might have sounded harsh. I was very young at the time. I didn't, it was out of fear more than judgment of others. I was just afraid because I'd experienced certain types of people. But when I mean that, I mean violent people. People that are okay with bullying, that are okay with demeaning, that are okay with judging members of society for being different. In other words, racist parents equals racist children. That's the sort of thing that I'm talking about. I'm saying that there are kids out there, and it's not the kids' fault, it's the parents' fault, that may influence my kids in a negative way. And I always made sure that my kids knew how to spot that. So they knew what the red flags were for the types of kids that they didn't want to be around or they shouldn't be around, because I was worried. Even before I knew or understood neurodivergence, I knew that my kids would be susceptible to that and easily influenced by that because I was. So I literally prepared my kids for socializing based on my experiences for socializing, and then literally almost like preparing them for a fight, I coached them in the type of people that would be safer to be around and would be a better influence than others.
No, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Because that's one of the things that as a parent, even though I'm not a parent, I would worry about is you teach your kids certain morals and then they go to school and they're hanging around with, it can really affect their sort of morals and their ethics and sort of how they respect people. I mean, what did you find, Sylvia? What was sort of things that you tried to implement to try and help them make friends?
I just try for them to find someone they really enjoy spending time with. And then we could kind of invite them home after school for tea and make something or cook something. So interact in a different way. So they normally find someone they really enjoy spending time with, and then just take from there, really. I wasn't specifically, you were more encouraging him to different way, and I was encouraging them to just sort of make friends and try enjoy your time with them and be peaceful and share and do things like the way that they will be accepted. So, don't start something you don't want it to go badly. I don't know. They always somehow get up with really good kids, really good friends, especially in primary school. They sort of blend and mix well with children from very similar families, and really, really, easygoing, sort of simple, fun kind of children.
Yeah, our kids just tend to make.
They always had a really good friends. Yeah. I think it's just because we try to always have some like parties and Halloween parties and after school parties for kids and meet up or get together, so go to places or things just for them to be able to blend and mix and choose someone they can kind of really feel close to. And that's how they were. I think especially in the primary school, they were really, really good and have a bunch of children who are very close with each other. When they went to the secondary school, that's a slightly different matter. That was slightly harder because they had to navigate through so much more through the schooling and things. It was more difficult for them to get to the point where they can find it themselves. But eventually they always end up as well with a really good group of friends after, certain amount of time, and they manage to hold on to them to the end of the secondary school, I think.
Yeah, they did, but also, my goodness me, the difficulty that there was with certain groups of friends when our kids would just kind of just be themselves. They would just be themselves. And that was what we always encouraged them. It's just, be yourself. It sounds cliche, but, I didn't want them to mask. I had started learning about like neurodivergence and things like that. But to be fair, that's how I've always kind of just lived my whole life, is that I don't want to pretend to be someone else, even though I have done that. Like, it wasn't what I wanted to do. I kind of felt like I got stuck in that situation to avoid being bullied, but I didn't want my kids to stop not be themselves. Like I had to go through that. Like most parents, when you have to go through shit, you don't want your kids to have to go through that shit. Yeah. So you go, okay, well, how can I help them avoid what I went through? And I had crappy parents who didn't really help with that. So I was like, I'm not going to be that. I'm going to be a good parent. I'm going to try and help my kids with that. But the amount of times when, especially with our daughter, she would put too much pressure on singular friends or a singular friend. She'd put so much pressure on that friend to be her main friend. It's like, that's her main friend. And this is so much of an autistic trait. And this is definitely something that I did as well. Would be like, this is my main friend. And then I'd have serious rejection sensitivity dysphoria.
When they meet up with other people.
When they met up with other people without
and they're like,
you.
whoa, how did you meet up with other people? I'm your best friend. You can't go with that. And you're like, no, you can't do that. You're not just the best friends. You have to, be better. I think Sophie find it much harder. Simon is just very much more calm with it. He found his best friend in a college, and that's it. Then now to this day, the best friends. They're always together.
Josh is amazing.
And they're like, and college was a long time ago, and that was it. They're just been like, but Sophie find it harder. I think with girls it's a little bit more difficult. I don't know. Maybe Sophie have a little bit higher expectation on everything, and they just put so much on herself to be the best, and she expect them to be exactly back what she gives in, but it doesn't work like that. And I think it's very difficult to sort of find your way for it, I think, is it?
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. You're spot on. I mean, our advice was, oh my God, tentative. I think we've talked about neurodivergent Jenga. Of like, you just got to be so careful when when Sophie was upset, particularly because like some friend had done something, or she had thought a friend had done something, and she was catastrophizing. She was having the perception sensitivity dysphoria, the rejection, and everything. And especially since I was learning about all that stuff, I was trying to. It's almost like doing surgery when you've never done surgery. It's like I like playing the surgery game. What's that game called? With
Operation.
Yeah, thanks for everyone else knows apart from me. Operation, but with your eyes closed, and just bzz, 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 and oh my God, it was because poor Sophie. She just
put so much effort and so much of herself into it. She cared so as a teenager, and what I mean by it, she loved please everybody, and she wanted to always be the best at everything. That's what Sophie is. She just is this kind of person. She wants to be the best friend for everybody. She loves to please. She always wanted to help, and it's not always goes the way she wanted, because not everybody see it.
Yeah, it's not reciprocated either. It's like Sophie will put all that effort in,
and then someone just take advantage of it, and she feels, being taking a mickey out almost, is it?
Yeah, but that's the thing. That was her perception that someone was taking advantage. But I mean, that is the case with a lot of things. But there were certain things as well where people just had other friends. And they were like, oh, okay, we're going to do the, and the other
and
thing.
And spend time with the other friends.
Yeah. But the thing about those other friends is the fact that a lot of them wouldn't like Sophie. But the thing is that Simon had a similar problem, but in a very different way. And this was a really weird one for me, was so he had these two best friends, right? So a little group of 3 friends, and they would do everything together. But it was one of the kids was going, they were all going to go to the Natural History Museum. And I got a call from the mum, and she went, oh, unfortunately, we're not going. And I went, this doesn't sound right. So I pushed it. I said, I call bullshit. I said, no way. I said, why? Why are you not going? Because I started saying, oh, what's the problem? And she was like, oh, we can't do this. And I was like, okay, that's no problem. I can take them. And or I can drop them here. And I started trying to help by making suggestions of how I could help make it happen. And she kept pushing them aside. And I was like, hold on, something's going on. So I was like, no, just tell me the truth. What is the problem? And she went, well, we are going, but we don't want Simon to go with us. I was like, say what now? And she went, look, we think Simon's great, but the boys just want to go to the Natural History Museum and just have fun. I was like, that's what Simon wants. And she went, yes, but Simon will start lecturing the boys on all the things in the Natural History Museum. So he will start educating them about all the things in the Natural History Museum.
Yeah, he reads on the information and tell them everything about it and what's happened before. And, he was very interested in everything, all the information, all the facts and everything. He all written them down and stuff and read them, and they don't want that. He tells them all the things that they didn't want to listen to that, because he was very interested in lots of things. He was inquisitive all the time, is it, Simon?
Yeah, that's the perfect word, babe. He was literally inquisitive. He just, even to the point where it would absolutely make you go mad. Because
his favorite book was the facts book. He had all the the different parts of the 1001 facts or something. Is it? Every time they come out, he'd be like, I need that one, new one. And we're like, okay, we'll get you the facts book.
He had like the history of evolution, so every single animal and how it evolved. And he would just digest these books like they were biscuits from a tin. He would just take all the information in. And it was something obviously we encouraged. It was something we were incredibly proud of. And I had this stupid bint telling me, oh, yeah, we don't want your kid because he might educate our kids and they just want to have fun. And I was like, well, good luck with your kid. We'll just encourage our kid to keep learning. And it's like, I don't know what those kids are doing. I hope they're successful. But with the type of parent that's like, I don't want my kids to learn. I just want them to have fun. I'm like, what happened to having fun while learning? Because the thing is that we didn't encourage Simon to do this. We didn't make Simon do this. This was who Simon was. And
to be honest, we never told him to do anything. We never been in that kind of parents who's like a helicopter parent who tell them, oh, you have to do this. You have to. We never did that. We never told them to, you have to do your homework. We just didn't.
Yeah, we just let them do their own thing. Like,
you do it. But if you don't do it, it's your own fault, kind of thing.
Yeah, we weren't helicopter parents, but we did keep an eye. It's not like we were just like, crack on.
Well, no, there wasn't feral children. They just still come home and everything was
they still came home.
Put in place. Well, I think so.
We tried to get rid of them, but they kept coming back.
They knew where we live. Oh, my God.
That's the worst thing about them being autistic, is the fact that they had a routine, and that routine was coming home.
It's like a cat. You let him out and he's back again.
Yeah, literally.
And you're like, why did you come back?
Yeah,
we let you out.
Yeah, we let you out. Fuck off. No, he's back. Damn it. But I'll tell you one thing, Scotty, that was absolutely freaking tragic because of it, and I wonder how many fucking kids this has happened to, is that inquisitive boy that freaking Hoover of facts, became somebody who was like, oh, I don't want to know about things, and I don't want to read books, and I don't want to be like that anymore.
People don't like me for it, so I don't want to do it. I want to blend.
He stopped being like that. It broke my heart, dude.
It's just I want to blend. I want to be someone else. I don't want to do that anymore.
Those kids put the fire out in my son, and luckily he's now managed to get it back.
No, that's brilliant. That's
what about you, dude?
Yeah, that hits very close to home. There's so much there that you've said that I relate to, whether it was Sophie's sort of expectations of what friends should be. I was somebody's best friend. I've been so many people's best friends, and I've been a brilliant friend. And there's been so many times I remember coming home from school and saying to my mum and dad, like, why can't I have a friend like me? And felt just kind of like, why do people want so much from me? And I don't feel like I know who my friends are or I can trust them. And that experience that your son Simon had, I vividly remember a teacher telling me to stop being so inquisitive.
Oh.
He was like, you're too inquisitive and you're embarrassing yourself. Stop it. And this was like when I was like 12. And I vividly remember not wanting to read stuff or pick up on facts. And I now recognize that as a slight form of burnout, of just being like, I'm trying so hard to be me and it's not working, that I'm just going to try and be somebody else now. And very damaging. You literally took, put a fire out in me and really stopped doing stuff. But one of the things that really helped me with that was my parents put me in like after school clubs that were like theatre and acting and just like performance. And my dad introduced me to sport. He stopped me playing football because he didn't like the sort of kids that played football. Very like ego driven and quite nasty and very competitive. Whereas he ended up teaching me how to play golf, because golf, a lot of it is based around like respect and just, focusing on yourself and being very present, which I really appreciate looking back on it now. But there's so much of what
Football
you guys
thugs,
have said.
Golfing tops. Got it.
Simon did karate.
But that's what I mean, is like, you need sort of like an outlet or like something that sort of ties to your special interest. Because if you like something like that and other kids like it as well, you're going to find a sort of camaraderie and a similar sort of moral thinking, or at least you hope so. But no, it's interesting how both of those experiences you were talking about with your daughter and your son really reflect my own sort of experiences. And I think there'll be a lot of people that are listening to this that will appreciate your experience and your perspective on that, because it hit home for me, definitely. So we've got quite a lot of questions to go through here, but we'll probably narrow it down a little bit. Would you like to take a break? And when we come back, we'll pick up another one?
Let's do it, man.
Cool. Stick with us, guys. We'll be right back.
This episode of the Neurodivergent Experience is brought to you by RTN Mental Health Solutions. With up to a 5-year waiting list for autism and ADHD assessments via the NHS, and that's even if you get a referral from your GP, getting an assessment in the UK has never been harder. So if you're like me and can't wait anymore, going private may be the best option for you. RTN offers online assessments for kids aged 6 right up to adults. To make it more accessible, RTN can offer payment plans up to 5 months. You can access their remote services from the comfort of your home anywhere in the UK, and RTN offers group and one-to-one counselling, a private route to access ADHD medication following the assessment, and will even fight for you if your GP doesn't accept the results. So if you live in the UK and can't wait to get an assessment, go to www.rtnmentalhealthsolutions.com and use the discount code RTN23, making it even more affordable for all of our listeners to get an autism and ADHD assessment.
Who's waiting on me? I'll stick to you.
Put that in.
1 second.
Oh my God, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
That is how we come back.
Okay, right. Well, we're back from a break, apparently. This is the Neurodivergent Experience, and we've been talking about parenting and answering a couple of your questions, imagining almost a little bit like the parenting mailbag. So this
and how
is,
I'm sticky and sweaty.
Yes, and you're sticky and sweaty. Well, at the time of recording, there's a heat wave in the UK. the microphone is turned up. If I move from my chair, you will hear it. But next question. A listener has written in, I would love to hear advice on managing your own sensory overload meltdowns when your ND child is causing it. This is something I find difficulty on a daily basis and try to suppress it when I get overwhelmed. Because this is something that I, as a potential parent in the future, do worry about because I'm extremely, extremely sensitive.
I really like this question. I thought it was really interesting because it wasn't about like the kids and like how do you look after the kids, which is obviously very important and something that I completely understand why people are worried. But it was a question like, oh, how are you as parents, like how are you coping with your kids essentially screaming and like being autistic at the same time that can trigger us being neurodivergent. And I think I always come back to a particular thing with you, babe, because I think I've talked enough about like how I cope with meltdowns and things like that. But from your perspective, because you don't have meltdowns like I have meltdowns, but you do have meltdowns.
Yeah, possibly, but very little ones, like, not visible.
Welcome to the autism closet, everyone. This is your host, Sylvia James. who is getting a little tiptoe, a little toe out of the closet every now and again.
Well, no, I don't know what you...
What about the time where Sophie was just chewing loudly? Like, I never really noticed it, but you kept saying that the way that she would chew and the way that she would drink would drive you insane.
I don't know what to say. She's just... it's not annoying for anybody else. I suppose I can hear it more. But some people said also to her that she swallowed very loud. So I basically always remove myself from where she eats and shut the door because I can't be around her for that long, I suppose. But nowadays she's much better. She knows not to chew so loud.
She knows not to be herself around her mother. As a mask.
No, basically what she does, she just like not only chew loudly, but what she does, she have her food and she really loves it. And she's like, I'm like, what are you eating in there? Some sort of like the best food in the world. And it's just like a chickpea. And you're like, what? What is it? The best chickpea ever?
The greatest, it's a Trump chickpea. On my tongue, it's a Trump chickpea.
And she makes these noises like, like those fake adverts when people actually don't have any food and they're pretending they're eating something like, oh my God.
This flake is so good.
Tasty. Oh my God, I never ate nothing like this. And you're like, what is happening here? It's just a carrot.
Yeah, so essentially this is Sophie just being, I don't know, like,
but this is
like
just
happy and stimmy almost. It sounds like the noises that she was making them kind of sounds like a stim. It's kind of like the way that she's expressing herself. But obviously there's nothing wrong with what Sophie's doing, but there's nothing wrong with Sylvia because Sylvia has her own feelings and her own, sensory issues.
It's just annoying.
Yeah, but the thing is, babe, is that
meltdown.
That when you are prone to meltdowns, which isn't you, that's not you. You have had meltdowns, but you're not prone to meltdowns. Whereas I am prone to meltdowns.
I have one meltdown a year, and then it's a big one, like the biggest one ever. Like you won't see
Hurricane Sylvia.
Like, who are you? I don't know you like that.
It's funny because your like meltdown dynamic in my family is gender swapped. It's like my mum would have like little micro meltdowns, whereas my dad would have just one a year. So it's interesting, like the different dynamics, isn't it?
Loads of things in our whole life are gender swap, like traditional gender swap. I mean, so many things we have, our roles are like grossly traditionally gender roles.
I'm a trad wife.
You're a trad wife. You don't even know what a trad wife is, and you're not a trad wife. You're a trad wife when you want to be, but I have no say in it whatsoever because I'm like, I'll do the cooking. She's like, no, you won't. You're going to be crap at it. I will do it. And I
don't want your rubbish food. It always tastes weird.
Thank you for actually saying that. because every time I go, my wife does all the cooking because she's better at it. I just sound like a bigot and that I'm making excuses. But now you've heard from her mouth, she doesn't want my food.
It's always overcooked and running all around, and it's just like doesn't look right. It's almost all like doesn't keep in place.
How? I'm
sorry.
Wow, I didn't expect. Jesus, like this is what I have to live with. This is why. No wonder I have meltdowns. Because
you're meant to follow the recipe and then you just don't follow exactly what he says.
Dyslexic. I try.
As like follow the part and then
the bit that gets me with recipes, right, is the time management of it. Because you'll be making something, it'll go, this will cook in 3 minutes. And in those 3 minutes, you need to chop, cut, peel 5 things. Like, oh, shit. And that's why I have a tendency to overcook stuff. But now
he jumps from one section to the other.
Everything before I even start now.
I had a meltdown the other day.
And he ripped my paper. And I'm like, what am I meant to be cooking next?
And Sylvia's carefully sellotaping them back together as she's finishing off the meal. And I'm like, and I just sat down. I was like, I'm so sorry. But the thing is, all the way leading up to that, I was like, I think that I'm not ready. I don't think I should be cooking. I don't feel good. I don't feel happy. I was in a really bad place and I felt on the edge of a meltdown because I can recognize those signs. And then I verbalize that and tell everyone around me, I'm on the edge of a meltdown. I don't think it's a good idea for me to be doing this stuff. But then at the same time, I will still do that stuff. And it's not like they're making me do it. I still want to do that stuff because I don't want to make my meltdown an excuse. I don't want to make neurodivergence the excuse that I don't do things, and which is internal ableism. But at the same time, it's like I really shouldn't have even started cooking. I knew my mind was not in the right place. But I had made that promise that I would start at least cooking, preparing the food while Sylvia does her exercise, because I'd already done mine and, it's all part of our routine. And I literally just end up having a meltdown. And if you're talking about like why you have a meltdown because of the kids, and even when the kids are adults, we're always parents. We're always having to parent. We always have to give advice. We always have, especially when you've got neurodivergent kids. So this is one of our main problems, and this is with both of us. And you do have meltdowns because you have your version of a meltdown. So your version of a meltdown or a mini meltdown is just different to mine. Mine is normally punch a wall, which I barely ever do now. But your version is just to rant. And to rant and to rant. And when you rant at me, and it's not like it's directed at me, it's about the kids, but you won't go and tell the kids. So you have this meltdown where you just rant and rant and rant about the kids. But if the kids were in front of you, you'd be like, everything's fine. There's no problem. Oh, it's a bit dirty. Could you clean up? But you don't rant, but you do rant to me. And it's almost like I'm a circus monkey and you're throwing peanuts at me and just winding me up. And then I will then go, flipping kids. And then I will end up being close to a meltdown because the things that are upsetting you, and because you're upset, I become upset because I feed off your emotions, because we're so interconnected that I feed off your emotions. But the biggest thing, it's cleaning. It's the fact that our kids will literally go through the kitchen and walk away. And it was like the fucking Hurricane Katrina disaster. It would literally just be like some sort of flood that has just destroyed our kitchen. And then they'll just bugger off and they don't clean up after themselves. And it's constant, dude. It's constant. And oh my God, it is so hard to put up with because we like clean. And Sylvia needs clean.
It just helps with my feeling good. I think that's my helpful way to deal with, like, meltdowns and things. I like my house to be exactly how I want it to be. And if it isn't, it really, really triggers me. It really upsets whole day and whole routine for myself. If I come back from work and I see mess and I'm like, oh my God, now I just came back from work. I'm hungry. I need to cook dinner. I need to do my exercise and I need to clean because it's just mess.
Which makes me sound like an arsehole because some of those days I've been at home all day, and I will clean, and I will, like I said, she doesn't let me cook, but I will offer. It's not like I don't want to do these things, but I will tidy. But then the kids will literally make themselves dinner because they're adults now. And then I've gone upstairs to do. I come down and the kitchen just looks like it did 10 minutes ago before I cleaned it. So I do all that cleaning. They mess it up, bugger off, and I'm like, oh crap. Then Sylvia walks through the door, and I'm standing there looking like a dog that's knocked over the cookie jar, but the cat ate all the cookies and then buggered off, and then the dog gets shouted at.
Yeah, that's not an easy thing to navigate. I mean, I even have that personally at home where Caris and I have different roles within the house. It's like I do the dishwasher, she does the washing machine. But because I work from home, I do have that sort of like self-consciousness of I need to sort of leave it how I found it. In that if I make a meal or something and then Caris walks through the door, I know that she needs a clean space to have clean thinking. It's like if there's mess everywhere, it kind of like I can really see like her neurons firing too much, and she almost like stalls a bit. So I do feel the pressure to sort of get that together. But because I also work from home, I get stuck in like hyper focus, and I'll go and make breakfast. I'll bring it upstairs. I'll eat it, and I'll do work and not tidy it up after myself. And then I come down at like 4:30 when I have to go and pick her up, and I go, oh shit, I've left everything a mess. And then I make myself late, and then she's like, why are you late for picking me up? And it's just like, it just snowball effects. So it's not even having kids, like throwing kids into the mix as well is such a complication on top of that, without just, relationship dynamics.
But with the questions, I think you have to just kind of remove yourself from the things and find something which makes you calm down and relax, or rant at someone. I like ranting at you.
Yeah.
He's like
I love it.
Like a wall who doesn't never speak back. Every so often he just Yeah. I'm like, oh
yes,
yeah.
dear. my dad taught me this, very valuable. He didn't teach me a lot, but he taught me a few valuable things. He said, when your wife is annoyed, but she's not annoyed at you, just keep saying yes, dear. Just nod, be supportive. Just let her vent, because most of the time she doesn't want to hear your voice. She doesn't want to hear your opinion. She just wants to feel heard, and she wants to feel like she's not alone.
Yeah, no solutions, just listening.
Yeah. So I will literally, yes, dear. Yes, dear. Oh, I hate them too. What's that? Yeah, I can't wait till they move out. Things like this. Just agreeing with everything that she said and the ideas of how to dispose of our children's dead bodies.
I call you in advance to say, if this place is not clean or I'm coming back from work, there'll be murders.
We are all scared of you.
They're probably looking at clock at 5:30. She'll be back. She'll be back in 15 minutes. What's happening? Get cracking. And I'm coming in and everybody's moving suddenly. And I'm like, you had all this time. Why are you moving just when I'm walking into the door?
ADHD the fuck out of it and just do it right at the last minute. As she's coming through the door, we're just finishing the hoovering. God damn. Yeah. So, I mean, I literally cope with meltdowns, with being triggered by my kids in the same way as that I cope with all my meltdowns. Most of the time I don't. And then I have a meltdown and then I'm like, it's your fault. No,
you find your spot where you feel comfortable and just chill for 10 minutes, go back to it, think over again, and then you normally can manage. For me, that's how it goes.
I think that a lot of things you just go, okay, I'm just going to let that one go over my head. And then I hear about it later. And that's how you cope. Whereas I think for a lot of times with me, it's kind of like, I don't want to say anything. I don't want to say anything. I don't want to say anything. I have their neurodivergence in mind constantly. And like, they're neurodivergent. I know that they're going to do this thing. I know they're going to do this thing. I'm the adult. I'm the dad. I've got to, oh my God, would you stop eating your food like that? And that's how it goes. It's like, I'm going to be good. And then I will just snap. And like, oh my God. And my son does this all the time. And I think I've said this before. He eats like it's his last meal and he's
So
never
hungry.
getting another one, and everyone's trying to steal that meal. And it's hunched over and he just, oh God. It's so gross and it makes me so uncomfortable. And sometimes I just can't help it. I've just got to tell him. So that's what we did. I doubt it will work for most people. Let's have one more break and then answer a couple more.
Yep, we'll be right back.
Have you ever felt stuck in patterns that don't serve you? Struggled with stress or wanted to connect more deeply with yourself? Then I have to introduce you to a friend of the podcast, Ashley Bentley of Integrated Coaching, Breathwork and Hypnotherapy. Ashley is a highly experienced clinical hypnotherapist and coach specializing in working with neurodivergent minds. Through a unique blend of integrative coaching, breathwork and hypnotherapy, Ashley helps people rewire subconscious patterns, regulate their nervous systems, step into more empowered versions of themselves. Whether you're dealing with addiction, anxiety, burnout, or struggles with self-acceptance, Ashley offers practical and science-backed tools tailored just for you. Her unique methods combine neuroscience, storytelling, and subconscious transformation to create real, lasting change. Jordan and I can personally attest to the profound and transformative effects of her sessions, which have been life-changing. She does all of these sessions online, meaning she can work with you no matter where you are in the world. If you're ready to break free from old patterns and start living with more clarity, confidence, and connection, go to bit.ly/Ashley NDE to book a free consultation or learn more.
Welcome back to the Neurodivergent Experience. We've been doing our parenting Q&A here with Jordan and Sylvia. And final question of this section, I think this will be a good one to discuss. How would you advise your child going into the workforce after receiving a degree? How would you help them cope with office politics and unwritten rules? That's a nasty one to figure out.
Yeah, my advice to Sophie when she was having problems with colleagues, because both our kids have been working since they were young. You know, we got them. We made sure that they paid their way. No, they were the ones that actually wanted to work. They wanted to, earn their own money. They wanted to be responsible.
Yeah, we encourage them to do something for themselves and feel good about it, is it?
That's
so
right.
They could pay for their own things and feel like they earned the money and bought it for themselves, which is, I think, is a good way. So they worked since they were 16.
Yeah, pretty much.
As soon as you're allowed to work in UK.
So the issue, obviously, is other people. Like both our kids have always worked really, really hard. Whenever they've done a job, they've put all their effort into doing that job really, really well. They've never had any complaints from employers that they didn't work hard enough or they weren't trying hard enough.
They've always been prided as well. A lot of times when we went, they say, and when they were teenagers, they've been told they're really good workers and they work really hard and well. And how did we taught them to do so, is it? Which was really encouraging for us.
Yeah, they were just always really, really praised. The problems came from socializing. So office politics, as it were, and people, and understanding the fact that
someone says this, you said that, someone told this, and then there's a rumors going around.
Yeah, I think it's the worst thing is the fact that whether you like it or not, there are going to be people in your workplace that are going to say things that absolutely shouldn't be said. They're going to have opinions. They're going to voice those opinions, which are going to negatively impact others around them. They're going to be bigoted. They're going to be possibly borderline or, in fact, straight up racist. They're going to have reform ideas or red pill ideas or right-wing ideas. And obviously with the way that we brought our kids up, being liberal and being accepting and being, loving and caring of others, not everyone feels like that. And there's a lot of men in workplaces, a lot of older, gross, disgusting men that like to say things around young girls that absolutely shouldn't be said. And the problem is that you can make the complaints, which I encourage you to do. But when you're in the workplace and everyone around you is doing that, or everyone at least is accepting the fact that there's this one guy and he just says things, it's like, oh, that's Jeremy. He's just like that. And it's like you've got this young girl who has this super sense of justice. One, a sense of justice that's installed by Sylvia and I, but also a sense of justice of just being this autistic young woman who has agency and reads a lot of articles, reads a lot of research. You know, she does her homework. She understands herself. She understands women's rights and how women have been treated badly. And then she goes into the workplace and she experiences what many, many women have experienced is bigoted arsehole men. And there is a culture of bigoted arsehole men. It's just, we just accept it because it's always going to happen. We shouldn't accept it. And I've called it out so many times. But unfortunately, it is just one of those things that other people seem to accept. So Sophie's felt so alone that even the women around her didn't seem supportive because they were like, oh, we'll just ignore him. And then she would get so upset about it. And I completely understood that she gets upset about it. But the worst thing is that when she would say something about it, in a particular job, she actually got brought in and was told that she was upsetting other people and she was the problem. And it's like, hold on, she's pointing out that this person is creepy and saying things he shouldn't be saying. But because that guy had been there for years, almost like he's part of the furniture, suddenly she's the problem because she's pointing out what they all bloody know. And it kind of reminded me of the Jimmy Savile thing. Not to that extent, but I'm saying, like, everybody was saying, this guy's not right. This guy isn't okay. But it's like, oh, he's been around forever. It's all innocent. It's all in good fun. And just making excuses for that piece of shit. People are just making excuses for him. And Sophie knows about the Me Too movement. She is a huge, like, special interest for her to understand things like that. Same for all of us. Mm. So she's got this sense of justice and she's just being gaslit the fuck out of. And that's happened on multiple occasions in multiple
I think
jobs.
the advice for her, we always said, you have to, obviously, definitely something is wrong, definitely complaining of, but some of the things are just, not necessarily innocent, but just stupid. You just don't get so upset about it because otherwise you will never be able to go anywhere because you will get it everywhere, literally anywhere in any, not just at work, but everywhere is something you wouldn't like. And you just have to, take it. You can say your opinion if you want to, otherwise just leave it and just do your work, is it? That's what we were trying to say, because otherwise you'll be upset forever. You'll never be able to sort of navigate yourself at all through the place.
I think the thing is, babe, is that's kind of how you've done it.
Yeah.
Is that you've put up with those arsehole people.
Well, not always. It depends what kind of extent. I wouldn't put up to
your major
everything.
meltdown. It's like, no, with little Sophie. No more.
Like, with the young people, it's just different, is it? Kind of. We toughen up now because we're old.
No, but I think this is where you and I disagree. And,
I'm as tough as an old boot.
Is that Sylvia is more like, just ignore them. Whereas I'm like, but ignoring them is the problem.
Yeah, but then I forever will fight. I will never chill out. I'll be like, oh my God, I have to do this. And I'll be distraught If I took everything what someone told me, I'd be like forever in somewhere.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do
also-
that. It's waste of my time and money.
Okay, so from my perspective, I've always been the person that will call people out on their shit, right? And I've done it time and time again. And I got pushed out of jobs. I lost jobs. I risked putting my family in financial crisis because I had to say my piece, because I did speak up constantly. And I spoke up for others as well. It wasn't just me. And it's something that I do on this podcast. It's something I do on my Facebook page. It's something I do through the book. I will speak up for others and encourage others to speak up for themselves.
I don't have energy for it, I think.
And that's it.
I just don't have it in me. I can't do it. Physically, it will just drain me out completely. And I just prefer to walk away from it.
Yeah. Which, by the way, we're talking about things that trigger. It triggers me. Not that you do that. It triggers me that people do that to you.
That's my protective instinct. That's how I protect myself from going crazy, I think.
I feel like I want to go to Sylvia's work sometimes and kick down the door. And Sylvia's like, don't do that. Don't do that. And I don't do that. And of course I'm not. Of course I'm not going to do that because Sylvia can look after herself. And at the end of the day, if it pushes you too far, you'll let them know.
Oh yeah.
But I think that your threshold for what is too far is different to Sophie's. And Sophie's is different to mine. I will let things go way more than Sophie.
I think
was
nowadays you would. When you were younger, you didn't.
Oh God, no!
When
I
you was
would
younger, you definitely
everything.
wouldn't let anything go. I'm like, oh my God, this! Come on, just let it go, please.
All right, no,
we need this money.
Yeah, but I think with like between Sophie and Sylvia, there's this thing where it's like Sophie will get upset by everything. So even the little things that sometimes you should just let them go because like people are just idiots. Some people just say dumb things that they don't even mean to say, I think. Sometimes they just say dumb things. But Sophie didn't want to let that go. And then you got Sylvia who lets, in my opinion, I think you let too much go. But then, you've got to find that happy medium, I guess. That is how you navigate socializing in a workplace, is you've got to find that happy medium.
You have to choose what you want to fight for and what you can let it go.
Pick your battle.
Literally. You have to teach them to pick the battles. Yeah, that's it. That's a good one, I think.
So, one more question. My favorite question. It almost feels. It almost feels like we wrote this for ourselves. But this is a genuine on my Facebook. Somebody asked this question. Somebody's asked you this question many times.
I thought
it's more about Sylvia than me, but a little bit me. What's the question, Scotty?
I want to know how you two look younger with every year. Yeah, bloody kiss ass.
Drugs.
What kind?
And not taking them. How do you still look like you're in your 30s when you're 75?
I'm a vampire.
You are a vampire. We have a painting in the loft that is slowly decaying, Dorian Gray style. Read a book if you don't know what we're talking about, or Google it. Dorian Gray. But yeah, babe.
I don't have an answer for it.
You don't know how you look so young?
No. Why
you
would
said
I know
the
that?
skincare specialist.
Just use SPF. Fine. That's it.
Yeah. Use suntan lotion.
No suntan lotion.
Okay.
Sun protection factor.
There you go. I don't ask
50
me.
50++.
I love this. I don't know.
For 20
This is why I have no
years.
tolerance to the sun,
Exactly.
because I was caked with SPF 50 from a very young age. I'm a pasty boy.
20 years. Yeah. That's it. SPF is your best friend. That's the only secret in humans.
There you go. Look after your
Don't
face
go to
like
the
you look
sun.
after your tattoos.
Just do not go
Stay
to
indoors,
the sun.
people.
Yeah.
Stay indoors.
Everybody who's been in prisons from early age, when they let them out, the skin is perfect.
Commit crimes. Go to prison young, you'll look sexy.
No, if you just like being...
So stay out of the sun. Don't go near the hot, shiny thing.
And
don't leave the house.
Great advice. Great advice for everybody involved, I think.
Yeah, thanks.
Don't
babe.
smoke, don't drink. Simple.
Yeah, that one as well. We don't smoke, we don't drink, we eat healthy.
We're very boring.
We're
If you're
not.
looking
How
from the
are we
side, From
boring?
the side, you don't smoke, you don't drink. What do you do? Well, I'm going for a walk.
We stay young because we're young at heart, and because we wash our faces.
We laugh a lot.
We laugh a lot, yeah. Do you know what I think a lot of it is? Is the fact that I think if life stresses you out too much, it can literally age you.
Telling me.
So I think that I aged to a certain point where I was so stressed, but then since I started enjoying life, I kind of just looked the same. So for like the last 10 years, I've literally looked exactly like this.
Yeah. We just leave and laugh, and that's it. Oh.
And there's a dog.
Yeah.
And that is the end of our episode.
Yes, thank you very much for listening. If you have enjoyed this sort of episode, let us know and we'll keep doing it. Because I like the idea of mailbags and hearing from the listeners. And keep sending your questions in. Jordan will keep putting posts on his page and we'll cover them. And thank you very much for being here. We appreciate you.
Thank you, babe.
Thank you so much for all the people to listen to us.
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
Groovy.
Bye,
Groovy,
everybody.
baby. Nightly bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Neurodivergent Experience. We hope today's episode sparked something for you, whether it's a new idea, a bit of validation, or just a moment of connection. Remember, new episodes are every week, so be sure to join us for the next one for more conversations and insights into the neurodivergent experience. If you've enjoyed this podcast, help us grow. You can do that by rating and reviewing this show. Your support makes a huge difference in helping us reach more people who could benefit from these conversations. You can connect with us on social media. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Just search for the Neurodivergent Experience. Thank you again for listening. And until next time, take care of yourself. You're not alone in this journey.